Hello, hello. Mic check. My own mic check. Waiting to hear my voice so I can shut it off. This is just me waiting to hear my sound. It is Thursday, May 23rd. And there's my sound. Okay. Thursday, May 23rd. I was bored AF, and I haven't been doing any classical readings for you all lately. I've been worried about other things and working on self-improvement stuff and gardening and landscaping and all of the things that keep me out of this room. But I'm done for today, and the fluorescent light overhead is blinding and blazing. Hey, Cherie, what's up, darling? I'm just getting ready to do some casual reading and really just kind of chat with some folks. I'm bored. I got all my work done for the day. Shoot, and now most of it's done for the weekend too. So the light was burning me out there, so I had to come inside. What's it like out there today, Shri? And I don't think I've ever asked you if the sun where you live is white now and blazing all the time. We never talk about that stuff. Overcast? Nah. Well, that would be better here. I mean, like, I hope and hope for sunshine all the time instead of rain, but it's like this. It's so bright and so penetrating. I can't be out there for very long unless I'm all like bundled up with shades and a burqa or something, big hat, umbrella, something to cover all of my skin. It's not even hot, but it burns. And it's annoying. So I'm going to read today, beginning with John Greenleaf Whittier. I'm not familiar with any of these works. I found this one in the used bookstore. There's a cool one here in Flint, Michigan. I'm going to give them a free plug. They're called Totem Books, and they have a great selection, and they have like frequent rotation, good new stuff every time I go in there. And some of these older ones, like this one, actually are pretty cheap because it's beat up and all that, but I don't care. I'm just going to read it, and all the paper's going to burn someday, so who cares? So I thought we'd start with this one. It's called The Weird Gathering. A trumpet in the darkness blown, a peal upon the air. The churchyard answers to its tone, with boding shriek and wail and groan, the dead are gliding there. It rose upon the still midnight, a summons long and clear. The wakeful shudder with affright, the dreaming sleeper sprang upright and pressed his stunning ear. The Indian, where his serpent eye beneath the greenwood shone, started and tossed his arms on high and answered with his own wild cry, the sky's unearthly tone. I like this. The wild birds rose in startled flocks as the long trumpet swelled, and loudly from their old gray rocks the gaunt fierce wolf and caverned fox in mutual. There is a wild and haunted glen twixt Saugus and Namkeg. 'Tis said of old that wizard men and demons to that spot have been to consecrate their league. A fitting place for such as these, that small and sterile plain, so girt about with tall old trees, which rock and groan in every breeze like spirits cursed with pain. It was the witches' trysting place, the wizard's chosen ground, where the accursed of human race with demons gathered face to face by the midnight trumpet's sound. And there that night the trumpet rang, and rock and hill replied, and down the glen strange shadows sprang. Shame, excuse me, and down the glen strange shadows sprang, mortal and fiend, a wizard gang, seen dimly side by side. They gathered there from every land that sleepeth in the sun. They came with spell and charm in hand, waiting for their master's high command, slaves to the evil one. From islands of the far-off seas, from Hecla's ice and flame, from where the loud and savage breeze growls through the tall Norwegian trees, seer, witch, and wizard came. And from the sunny land of palms, the Negro hag was there, the Gree with his Obi charms, the Indian with his tattooed arms, and wild and streaming hair, the gypsy with her fierce dark eyes, the worshipper of flame, the searcher out of mysteries, above a human sacrifice, all together came. This is thrilling. Nay, look not down that lighted dell, thou startled traveller. Thy Christian eye should never dwell on gaunt grey witch and fiend of hell and evil trumpeter. But the traveller turned him from his way, for he heard the revelling, and saw the red light's wizard ray among the dark-leafed branches play like an unholy thing. He knelt him on the rocks and cast a fearful glance beneath. Wizard and hag before him passed, each wilder, fiercer than the last. His heart grew cold as death. He saw the dark-browed trumpeter, in human shape was he, and witch and fiend and sorcerer, with shriek and laugh and curses were assembled at his knee. And lo, beneath his straining glance, a light form stole along. Free as if moving to the dance, he saw her fairy steps advance toward the evil throng. The light along her forehead played, a wan, unearthly glare. Her cheek was pale beneath the shade, the wildness of her tresses made, yet naught of fear was there. Now God have mercy on thy brain, thou stricken traveller. Look on thy victim once again. Bethink thee of her wrongs and pain. Dost thou remember her? The traveller smote his burning brow, for he saw the wronged one there, knew her by her forehead's snow, and by her large blue eye below, and by her wild dark hair. Slowly yet firm she held her way, the wizard's song grew still, the sorcerer let his elfish play, with and hideous imp and beldame grey waited the stranger's will. A voice came up that place of fear, the trumpeter's hoarse tone. Speak, who art thou that comest here, with brow baptized and Christian ear, unsummoned and alone? One moment and a tremor shook her light and graceful frame. It passed, and then her features took a fiercer and a haughtier look, as thus her answer came. Spirits of evil, workers of doom, lo, to your revel for vengeance I come, vengeance on him who hath blighted my fame. Fill his cup to the brim with a curse without name. Let his false heart inherit the madness of mine, and I yield ye my spirit and bow at your shrine. A sound, a mingled laugh and yell, went howling fierce and far. A redder light shone through the dell, as if the very gates of hell swung suddenly ajar. Thank you, Ryan. Breathe then thy curse, thou daring one, a low, deep voice replied. Whatever thou askest shall be done. The burden of thy doom upon the false one shall abide. The maiden stood erect, her brow grayed dark as those around her, as burned upon her lip vow which Christian ear may never know, and the dark fetter bound her. Aye, there she stood, the holy heaven was looking down on her, an angel from her bright home driven, a spirit lost and doomed and given to fiend and sorcerer. And changed, how change her aspect grew, fearful and elfish there. The warm tinge from her cheek withdrew, and one dark spot of blood-red hue burned on her forehead fair. While from her eye of madness shone the baleful fire within, as with a shrill and lifted tone she made her fearful purpose known before the powers of sin. Let my curse be upon him, the faithless of heart. Let the smiles that have won him in frowning depart. Let his last cherished blossom of sympathy die, and the hopes of his bosom in shadows go by. I curse him, but keep the poor boon of his breath till he sigh for the sleep and the quiet of death. Let a viewless one haunt him with whisper and jeer, and an evil one daunt him with phantoms of fear. Be the fiend unforgiving that follows his tread. Let him walk with the living, yet gaze on the dead. She ceased. The doomed one felt the spell already on his brain. He turned him from the wizard dell. He prayed to heaven, he cursed at hell. He wept, and all in vain. The night was one of mortal fear. The morning rose to him, dark as the shroudings of a bier, as if the blessed atmosphere, like his own soul, was dim. He passed among his fellow men with wild and dreamy air, for whispering in his ear again the horrors of the midnight glen, the demon found him there. And when he would have knelt and prayed amidst his household band, an unseen power his spirit stayed, and on his moving lip was laid a hot and burning hand. The lost one in the solitude of dreams he gazed upon, and when the holy morning glowed, her dark eyes shone, her wild hair flowed beneath him and the sun. His brain grew wild, and then he died, yet ere his heart grew cold, to the grey priest who at his side the strength of prayer and blessed tried, his fearful tale was told. They've bound the witch with many a thong, the holy priest is near her, and ever as she moves along, a murmur rises, fierce and strong, from those who hate and fear her. She's standing up for sacrifice beneath the gallows tree. The silent town beneath her lies. Above her are the summer skies, far off the quiet sea. So young, so frail, so very fair, why should the victim die? Look on her brow, the red stain there burns underneath her tangled hair, and mark her fiery eye. 1,000 eyes are looking up in scorn and hate to her. A bony hand hath coiled the rope, and yawns upon the green hill's slope the witch's sepulchre. Ha! She hath spurned both priest and book, her hand is tossed on high, her course is loud, she will not brook the impatient crowd's abiding look. Hark, how she shrieks to die. Up, up, one struggle, all is done, one groan, the deed is wrought. Woe for the wronged and fallen one, her curse is blackened in the sun, her spirit trace is not. Oh my, that was. Thank you. I appreciate that you think I have a nice voice for reading. I do much better at this than my own presenting of research. I'm a bit less nervous when I have a very good script. So let's see. This one, I marked it, but I've never read it. It's short, and it's called The Fountain. And I thought it might be useful because that's one of those words that clues me into the script about the time that we're in. The coming fountain of knowledge upon humanity. So it's got a note above it. It says, on the declivity of a hill in Salisbury, Essex County, is a beautiful fountain of clear water, gushing out from the very roots of a majestic and venerable oak. It is about 2 miles from the junction of the Powwow River with the Merrimack. That's interesting. That I marked this passage um, this morning. I didn't read that, and I just was on Salisbury Hill. The song. How interesting. Traveler, on thy journey toiling by the swift powwow, with the summer sunshine falling on thy heated brow, listen while all else is still to the brooklet from the hill. Wild and sweet the flowers are blowing by that streamlet's side, and a greener verdure showing where its waters glide, down the hill slope murmuring on over root and mossy stone. Where yon oak his broad arms flingeth over the sloping hill, beautiful and freshly springeth that soft flowing rill, through its dark roots wreathed and bare, gushing up to sun and air. Brighter waters sparkled never in that magic well, of whose gift of life forever ancient legends tell. In the lonely desert wasted, and by mortal lip untasted. Waters which the proud Castilian sought with longing eyes underneath the bright pavilion of the Indian skies, where upon his forest way bloomed the flowers of Florida. Didn't like that line. Years ago, a lonely stranger with the dusky brow of the outcast forest ranger crossed the swift powwow, and betook him to the rill and the oak upon the hill. Over his face of moody sadness for an instant shone something like the gleam of gladness as he stooped him down to the fountain's grassy side, and his eager thirst supplied. With the oak, its shadow throwing over his mossy seat, and the cool, sweet waters flowing softly at his feet, closely by the fountain's rim, that lone Indian seated him. Autumn's earliest frost had given to the woods below hues of beauty such as heaven lendeth to its bough. And the soft breeze from the west scarcely broke their dreamy rest. Far behind was ocean striving with his chains of sand, southward sunny glimpses giving twixt the swells of land. Of its calm and silvery track rolled the tranquil Merrimack. Over village, wood, and meadow gazed that stranger man, sadly till the twilight shadow over all things ran, save where spire and westward pane flashed the sunset back again. Gazing thus upon the dwelling of his warrior sires, where no lingering trace was telling of their wigwam fires. Who the gloomy thoughts might know of that wandering child of woe, naked lay in sunshine glowing, hills that once had stood, down their sides the shadows throwing of a mighty wood, where the deer was covert kept and the eagle pinion swept, where the birch canoe had glided down the swift powwow, dark and gloomy bridges strided those clear waters now, and where once the beaver swam, jarred the wheel, and frowned the dam. For the wood birds' merry singing and the hunter's cheer, iron clang and hammers ringing smote upon his ear, and the thick and sullen smoke from the blackened forges broke. Could it be his fathers ever loved to linger here? These bare hills, this conquered river, could they hold them dear, with their native loveliness tamed and tortured into this? Sadly as the shades of even gathered over the hill, while the western hall of heaven blushed with sunset still. From the fountain's mossy seat turned the Indian's weary feet. Year on year hath flown forever, but he came no more to the hillside or the river, where he had come before. But the villager can tell of that strange man's visit well, and the merry children laden with their fruits or flowers, roving boy and laughing maiden, in their school-day hours, love the simple tale to tell of the Indian and his well. Well, I guess that one was all right. Wasn't quite as good as the first one. Hello, Lev. We're just doing some random readings from a book I found at the thrift store. This is John Greenleaf Whittier. So let's see. Let's find another one to read. We have, well, this one's very short. It's called Christ in the Tempest. We'll read it. Storm on the heavening waters, the vast sky is stooping with its thunder. Cloud on cloud rolls heavily in the darkness like a shroud, shaken by midnight's angel from on high. Through the thick sea mist, faintly and unfar, Corazon's watch light glimmers like a star, and momently the ghastly cloud fires play on the dark sea wall of Capernaum's bay, and tower and turret into light spring forth like spectres starting from the storm-swept earth. And vast and awful Tabor's mountain form, its Titan forehead naked to the storm, towers for one instant full and clear, and then blends with the blackness and the cloud again. And it is very terrible, the roar ascendeth unto heaven, and oh no, the words are missing from the page. They're literally gone. Like the response of demons from the black, rifts of hanging tempest yawning over, the wild waves in their torment, hark the cry of strong man in peril piercing through the uproar of the waters and the sky, as the rent bark one moment rides to view on the tall billows with the thunder cloud closing round above her like a shroud. He stood upon the reeling deck, his form made visible by the lightning, and his brow pale and uncovered to the rushing storm, told of a triumph man may never know, power underived and mighty. Peace, be still. The great waves heard him, and the storm's loud tone went moaning into silence at his will. And the thick clouds where yet the lightning shone and slept the latent thunder rolled away, until no trace of tempest lurked behind, changing upon the pinions of the wind to the stormless wanderer, beautiful and gray. Dread ruler of the tempest, thou before whose presence boweth the uprisen storm, to whom the waves do homage round the shore of many an island empire, if thy form of the frail dust beneath thine eye may claim thy infinite regard, O breathe upon the storm and the darkness of man's soul the same quiet and peace and humbleness which came over the roused waters where thy voice had gone, a minister of power to conquer in thy name. That's all right. That's not a great one. It's all right. Nothing amazing. Let's see. Do we want to read any more of this? I don't know. La, 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 la. Let's see. I'm really not familiar with Whittier at all, just to be fair. Oh, yeah? Well, there's an interesting coinkydink. The city of Whittier in Orange County in California has crazy history. I was enrolled in Whittier Middle School, but I never went. I think I went for about a week or two, and then I couldn't handle the crowds and all the people and stuff like that. So I started skipping school all the time. And then when I finally got like with some good counselors and administrators and stuff, and they started letting me sit in the office of the what are they called? The counselors, and do my work there and file papers and stuff when I was done. And sometimes they didn't require me to go at all until they got me into a school that didn't have truancy policies and stuff like that. That was fun. But Whittier Middle School was very interesting. I should go drive over that way sometime and see if the building is still intact as it was, because it's one of those ones that had a basement that was so deep that the windows had to be dug out, and we called it the courtyard, but there was no accessing it. In order to access it, you would have had to climb out the windows of um, one of the classrooms and jump down. Like the well was that courtyard well was so deep, and the hill, there was like a big a wall built that was like a retainer wall, because the sidewalk and the hill out front was a full floor above. Um, it's interesting. It's a very mud flood looking building in retrospect. Like I can't see why they would have dug so deeply into the side of a giant hill to build a middle school. Um, and it was a beautiful old building, absolutely amazing. Like, I think I will drive over there one day and see if it's still like that. It was interesting. Yeah, grade school in your city is named after Whittier too. Hmm. Perhaps I should have pulled a book on Whittier sooner in my life, but like many of us, I was busy working for ungrateful creatures that we will not lay foul names upon, because that is just as bad. Um, but now I have more time for pleasurable reading. So let's find another one. Or maybe a different book. I could go into a different book. I don't know. Um, let's see. The slave ships. Ooh, wonder. I don't know though. Like sometimes you get into reading some of this older work and it becomes quite racist. And then you're like, "Oh, shit. I don't want to make anyone mad. I mean, if this is literally what was going on, this is literally what was going on. It's not my fault. I didn't write it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't write it." Uh, du- 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 du. I don't know. I don't see anything. Yeah, maybe I'll read this one. We'll see what it's about. Um, let's let's give it a try. Hopefully the slave ships dudes got beat to fuck by the captives. I don't know. "All ready?" cried the captain. "Aye, aye," the seaman said. "Heave up the worthless lubbers, the dying and the dead." Up from the slave ship's prison fierce bearded heads were thrust. "Now let the sharks look to it. Toss up the dead ones first." Corpse after corpse came up. Death had been busy there. Where every blow is mercy, why should the spoiler spare? Corpse after corpse they cast sullenly from the ship, yet bloody with the traces of fetter link and whip. Gloomily stood the captain with his arms upon his breast, with his cold brow sternly knotted, and his iron lip compressed. "Are all the dead dogs over?" growled through that matted lip. "The blind ones are no better. Let's lighten the good ship." Hark from the ship's dark bosom the very sounds of hell, the ringing clank of iron, the maniac's short, sharp, the hoarse, low curse, throat stifled, the starving infant's moan, the horror of a breaking heart poured through a mother's groan. Up from that loathsome prison the stricken blind ones came. Below had all been darkness, above was still the same. Yet the holy breath of heaven was sweetly breathing there, and the heated brow of fever cooled in the soft sea air. Overboard with them, shipmates! Cutlass and dirk were plied. Fettered and blind, one after one plunged down the vessel's side. The saber smote above, beneath the lean shark lay, waiting with wide and bloody jaw his quick and human prey. God of the earth, what cries rang upward unto thee, voices of agony and blood from ship deck and from sea. The last dull plunge was heard, the last wave caught its stain, and the unsated shark looked up for human hearts in vain. Fuck, this is terrible. Red glowed the western waters, the setting sun was there, scattering alike on wave and cloud his fiery mesh of hair. Amidst a group in blindness, a solitary eye gazed from the burdened slaver's deck into that burning sky. A storm, spoke out the gazer, is gathering and at hand. Curse on it, I'd give my other eye for one firm rood of land. And then he laughed, but only his echoed laugh replied, for the blinded and the suffering alone were at his side. Night settled on the waters and on a stormy heaven, while fiercely on that lone ship's track the thunder gust was driven. A sail, thank God, a sail! And as the helmsman spoke, up through the stormy murmur a shout of gladness broke. Down came the stranger vessel, unheeding on her way, so near that on the slaver's deck fell off her driven spray. Ho! For the love of mercy, we're perishing and blind! A wail of utter agony came back upon the wind. Help us, for we are stricken with blindness, every one. 10 days we've floated fearfully, unnoticed star or sun. Our ship's the slaver Leon, we've but a score on board. Our slaves are all gone over. Help for the love of God. On livid brows of agony the broad red lightning shone, but the roar of wind and thunder stifled the answering groan. Wailed from the broken waters a last despairing cry, as kindling in the stormy light the stranger ship went by. Serves 'em right. In the sunny Guadalupe a dark-hulled vessel lay, with the crew who noted never the night fall or the day. The blossom of the orange was white by every stream, and tropic leaf and flower and bird were in the warm sunbeam. And the sky was bright as ever, and the moonlit slept as well on the palm trees by the hillside and the streamlet of the dell, where the glances of the Creole were still as archy deep, and her smiles as full as ever of passion and of sleep. But vain were bird and blossom, the green earth and the sky, and the smile of human faces to the ever darkened eye. For amidst a world of beauty the slaver went abroad, with his ghastly visage written by the awful curse of God. That's right. They had it coming. Yep. Cursed themselves there. And well, that was timely, wasn't it? Because here we are. I believe we are in the time just before our redemption, when the slavers will be cast down and trampled. I don't know. I'm just hoping. Here you go. That's me trying to be a ray of sunshine. Did I succeed? So I don't know. I don't know if I want to read any more from this book. I mean, as far as such things go, it was a scary, sad poem, but a just one. Oh, hey. Here's another one. It's very short. It's called The Moral Warfare, and I think we'll read it. Because moral warfare. When freedom on her natal day within her war-rocked cradle lay, an iron race around her stood, baptized her infant brow in blood, and through the storm which round her swept, their constant ward and watching kept. Then where quiet herds repose, the roar of baleful battle rose, and brethren of a common tongue to mortal strife as tigers sprung, and every gift on freedom's shrine was man for beast and blood for wine. Our fathers to their graves have gone, their strife is past, their triumph won. But sterner trials wait the race which rises in their honored place, a moral warfare with the crime and folly of an evil time. So let it be, in God's own might, we gird us for the coming fight, and strong in Him whose cause is ours, in conflict with unholy powers, we grasp the weapons He has given, the light, the truth, and the love of heaven. Booyah, drop the mic. What? That one was good and timely. And random. Let us see what's behind us for reading. We have John Donne. Let's see. Let's check out a couple of these. John Donne, from the great English poets. I got this one from the same used bookstore, and I bought a bookmark at the same time. So, where I stuck it, we will read first. The Good Morrow. I wonder by my troth what thou and I did till we loved were we not weaned till then, but sucked on country pleasures childishly, or snorted we in the seven sleepers' den. 'Twas so, but this all pleasures fancies be, if ever any beauty I did see, which I desired and got, 'twas but a dream of thee. And now good morrow to our waking souls, which watch not one another out of fear, for love all love of other sights controls, and makes one little room, and everywhere. Let see discoverers to new worlds have gone, let maps to others, worlds on worlds have shown. Let us possess one world, each has one, and is one. My face in thine eye, thine in mine appears, and true plain hearts do in the faces rest. Where can we find two better hemispheres, without sharp north, without declining west? Whatever dies was not mixed equally, if our two loves be one, or thou and I love so alike, that none do slacken, none can die. Have to ponder on that one. Let's see. This one looks better. A lecture upon the shadow. Stand still, and I will read to thee a lecture, love, in love's philosophy. These 3 hours that we have spent walking here, 2 shadows went along with us, which we ourselves produced, but now the sun is just above our head. We do those shadows tread, and to brave clearness all things are reduced. So whilst our infant loves did grow, disguises did, and shadows flow from us and our care, but now 'tis not so. That love hath not attained the highest degree, which is still diligent lest others see. Except our loves at this noon stay, we shall new shadows make the other way. And the first were made to blind others, which as the first were made to blind others, these which come behind will work upon ourselves and blind our eyes, if our loves faint and westwardly decline. To me thou, falsely thine, and I to thee mine actions shall disguise. The morning shadows wear away, but these grow longer all the day. But oh, love's day is short, if love decay. Love is a growing or full constant light, and his first minute afternoon is night. I'm not impressed by that. So that's where I'm going to end it. 40 minutes of random poetry and babbling. And we're pretty empty here. Not really much chatting going on. So much love and fair weather to my Shori and Olani, unindoctrinated, and Lev Kung Fu Shaolin. And here's to hoping that Thursday picks up a little bit. Because I'm bored, yo. So I'll see y'all later. Much love and best wishes, little fishes. Oh, ciao, boy. That's okay. I was just reading random poetry. I didn't really have a great plan for today or anything. But I thought some people might come by and chatter or whatever. There wasn't a lot else going on, so glad to have seen you, if only for a moment. Much love. See y'all soon.